Meteorologist Miles Henderson here. Wanted to give you an update on our two different chances for winter weather over the next couple of days here. I'll have my phone here at the same time, so see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. That way I can monitor comments and questions as we go along, right? So I want this to be a little bit more of an open conversation, right? I'll be talking about what I know about the weather, but share your thoughts as well. Do you like the snow? Do you not like the snow? As we go along, if you think of a question for me, I'm happy to answer those as we go along the way. Keep in mind, I may not be able to answer them right away as I'm kind of double tasking here. So let me get that part queued up. So you can see kind of our bottom line headlines here. Two different systems, both had the potential to bring us some snow accumulation. The first is part of a cold front, and that's actually starting to move in right now. Some of our friends up towards Williamsburg already seeing a little bit of rain out of that one. Again, going to start as rain, then we'll change over to some snow as we go a little bit later on today into tonight. The second system is a coastal low, so an area of low pressure. It's going to slide up the East Coast that has more moisture with it, so more potential for a significant snowfall. We're looking at Friday into Saturday for that time frame. See if I can go figure. When I want to watch my own live on my phone, it doesn't want to work, right? Let's see, before I dive into the numbers, stick with me here for a second. I want to make sure I get it pulled up. That way I can see your comments and questions as they come in. Load it again. Doesn't want to work, but that's okay. Hopefully that'll load while we're talking. So let's kind of walk through the timeline here. First of all, here's first warning radar right now. You can see that line of rain. You can kind of trace the line where the cold front works through, right? That's the cold front moving in. We're going to see rain to start. So some of that's already moving in. In fact, let's zoom in. You can see some rain up towards Williamsburg, Surrey, Sussex counties, James City County, Gloucester, Middlesex, even Matthews County starting to see some rain. That'll continue to work its way to the south and east, right? That cold front building through. Behind that cold front, colder air is going to follow. So this morning, we were in the 40s and even some 50s this morning. Temperatures will drop into the 30s as we go later today, and that could bring us a changeover from rain to snow. And so here's 1 o'clock this afternoon. You see that line. The green is rain, the blue, snow. So that transition line just off to our north and west early this afternoon. As we go through the day, notice that line kind of walks its way to the south. Where you see the purple, that's more of a transition zone. So you may see a little bit of both, maybe even some sleet trying to mix in there. There's 4 o'clock, changeover up towards Williamsburg, Gloucester, parts of Surrey and Sussex counties, even northern parts of the Eastern Shore. Let's jump ahead to 6 o'clock this evening, seeing that changeover now working through Isle of Wight to Franklin to Hampton, starting to make the switch for Norfolk, Portsmouth, and Virginia Beach. Still rain to the south of that, by the way. Here's 9 o'clock tonight, seeing that switch over, working into North Carolina, Elizabeth City, Delahoski, some snow showers there in Virginia Beach, Chesapeake. That kind of fizzles out as we go later tonight, maybe still some leftovers in North Carolina. As far as the accumulation out of this first round, about an inch, maybe a little bit more for some of our northern spots, less for our southern spots. Not a huge snow event, but just enough to give us likely a slushy accumulation by tonight. That could be a problem because our temperatures are falling. So here's a look at our temperatures tomorrow morning. This is 7 o'clock Friday morning. Notice with the exception of the Outer Banks, we're all freezing. So anything that is a puddle or slush or any of that little bit of accumulation of snow could freeze by Friday morning. So watch out for some icy spots Friday morning if you're headed out. Of course, bridges and overpasses will be our biggest area of concern. And we always say that because a bridge or overpass is obviously elevated. So you have that cold air both above and below that roadway, where a normal road has the ground as kind of a little bit of a blanket underneath. So the bridges and overpasses are usually the first to freeze. Let me pause here for a second. It's still not working with loading it. Let me try over here real quick. I want to make sure you guys don't have any questions about this first event on Thursday before I move to the next one. All right, hang tight. There we go. It's just my phone that's not working. Go figure. All right. I think I can see the comments as we go along. So Renee is saying, so no snow. Not what I said at all. Small amount, about an inch, slushy snow that could freeze tomorrow morning. We still have a second system to get to, so hang tight. Let's move to system number 2. All right, system number 2 is an area of low pressure. You see it there, the big red L there in the circle. That moves up the coastline. Still some question marks with this one. If the low hugs the coast more, that's going to mean more moisture for us, right? Potential for bigger snow numbers. If the low stays away from the coastline, that would mean some lower numbers for us, all right? Still some wiggle room here. I see some people asking, how much for insert my town here? Wait, I'm going to do a breakdown city by city. So I'm going to cover everybody coming up here in just a little bit. So hang tight on those questions, all right? Friday into Saturday, there's that low, moves through. All right, let's time it out, get a little closer for you. Friday morning, I think we'll still see a little bit of precipitation. Obviously, you see some rain there towards the Outer Banks, maybe some sleet or snow right near the Albemarle Sound. As we go through the day Friday, that moisture moves up the coast. We're going to see everything spread to the north. All right, so here's 1 o'clock, seeing a little bit of that snow, Elizabeth City, trying to creep into Virginia Beach and Chesapeake. Here's 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, snow for a big chunk of the south side and the Albemarle. Still seeing a little bit of that mix right over to the Albemarle Sound. Here's 7 o'clock Friday evening. You see the snow pushing up across much of the peninsula, headed to the eastern shore and middle peninsula. And here's 11 o'clock Friday night. Snow for most of us, with the exception of really the Outer Banks. That's the only spot that'll really see a lot more rain in the mix. So you see the trend, right? Everything kind of spreading to the north and becoming a little more widespread as we go through the day Friday. So you'll see that represented in our chances here. This is Friday. 40, maybe 50% chance for the first part of the day. I think most of that's going to be to the south side Carolina. As we go through the afternoon, evening, Friday night, all that moisture pushes to the north and west. So we build to that 90% chance by Friday night. Saturday, 70% chance in the morning. And then we fizzle out about noon, midday, about a 20% chance left over there. So we're really going to see most everything out by about lunchtime. Still some disagreements, I'll call it that, between the forecast models, right? I'm going to show you 3 different forecast models, each of them just a computer output, right? Computer looks at some data, it spits out some data, and that's going to show us what it's saying at least. Again, these are not official forecasts. This is a computer model spitting out some data. This is the graph model. You see a range of 5 inches for some of our northern inland spots, closer to 8, 9 as you get down towards the south side and the Albemarle. Right? Lower for the Outer Banks where there'll be some more rain. The Euro model, about 3 for some of our northern inland spots, closer to 9 down towards the Albemarle. So you can see a little bit of a range there. Keep in mind, the Euro had 14 inches yesterday, so starting to back down a little bit. The GFS has kept a lot more of the moisture to the south here recently, so you see that's a lower number for us, closer to 2 for our northern spots, closer to 4 or 5 for our southern spots. So what do I think? Right now, here's what I think. This is Friday into Saturday. Again, most of this stacking up Friday night, Saturday morning. I think spots on the south side into northeastern North Carolina could see between 6 and 8 inches of snow. That includes spots like Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, down toward Elizabeth City, Camden, Pasquotank, Perquimans counties. Notice the numbers get lower as you go to the north and west. Right? Not our typical kind of setup when we talk winter weather. So more in that 4 to 6 range across our peninsulas and eastern shore, inland spots, and then 2 to 4 as you get back towards Williamsburg, even lower back towards Richmond. So how about what about in my insert town here? Here we go. We're taking a tour. South side, about 7 inches. Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, 6 for Norfolk, Portsmouth, Suffolk, 5 for Smithfield and Franklin, 4 out towards Wakefield. All right, so you see the trend, that bullseye kind of centered more on the south side, southeastern corner, and then a little less as you go inland, closer to I-95, right? Getting away from that coastal moisture. How about on the peninsula? About 6 inches for Hampton, 5 for Newport News and Poquoson, 4 for Yorktown, Williamsburg, Gloucester, Matthews. On the eastern shore, closer to 5 as you get south towards Cape Charles, lesser amounts, maybe 3 or 4 as you head up the eastern shore for us. Carolina, that bullseye, Moyock, Elizabeth City, Hertford, in that 7-inch range. 6 back towards Edenton, Gatesville, and Windsor, and Bertie County, and 5 for Ahoskie. Lower amounts to the Outer Banks. Again, I think we'll see a little more of that mix, rain, maybe even some sleet in the mixture there. We'll say 3 for Duck, 2 for Kill Devil Hills and Manio, and then even lower numbers as you head to the south. Really not expecting much accumulation at all, especially for spots like Hatteras. So this afternoon, we'll see that rain starting to change over to snow. This is that round 1 that I mentioned. Winds will start to pick up. Temperatures will be falling. By tonight, a little slushy accumulation, about 1 inch for most of us. That could become troublesome tomorrow morning with some icy spots. Temperatures in the 20s tomorrow morning. Snow spreading north as we go through the day tomorrow, with our biggest snow chance tomorrow night into Saturday morning. That's when we'll see those snowfall totals really stack up. So over the next 3 days, you see our rain to snow chances today, our snow chances as we look Friday to Saturday, especially Saturday morning. Wind will also be an issue. North winds, say 10 to 20, gusts to 30 or 35. Something to watch out for, and this is probably going to be a question that a lot of people will ask, when is it going to go away? I think it's going to take a while, right? So obviously if it stops snowing, we'll say for conversation's sake around noon on Saturday, it doesn't just instantly disappear, right? You see high temperatures in the 30s this weekend, low temperatures in the 20s. So I expect several mornings in a row, we're going to have problems with refreeze. What I mean by that is anything that's started to melt, so become more of a slush or a puddle, you drop those temperatures down to the 20s overnight, that could turn to ice. So even as we start to get the melting process going, Saturday into Sunday, even into Monday, with that refreeze, those 20s overnight, we could still have several icy mornings in a row, starting tomorrow morning through the weekend, even into early next week. How far into next week, we'll have to see, how much snow really stacks up for everybody. But I would plan on some icy mornings at least for the next 4 mornings in a row. All right. Any questions that I have not answered so far? I see Peggy saying, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. That's what I always do, right? It does not hurt to prepare. If you prepare and don't need it, cool. If you don't prepare and you do need it, you're in trouble, right? So prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Brian's asking, should I put my snow melt out before the snow or after? Good question, Brian. You can do both. So if you put some salt or some snow melt down, you want to wait till after the rain, right? It's supposed to rain this afternoon. That would be pointless. Just going to wash it away. So Friday, if you want to put some salt out on your sidewalks or something like that, that could help you kind of get the melting process going. It's also a really good idea to do it after you shovel, right? So the snow is stopped. Go out there and clear off as much snow as you can. Then you put down a little bit of that salt or even sand. That'll help to give you some grip and to keep that melting process going a little bit faster. Mary, you're welcome. Beverly, I'm glad you're ready. Gloria, you're welcome. Glad I could do this update for you. Let me back up just in case you joined us late so I can show you this kind of our big picture map here to show you what we're looking at. A question, how much of a possibility do you think Hampton roads could see up to 10 inches of snow? I think that's a bit on the high side. Is it possible? Yes, but at this point, I think that's going to be a bit on the extreme side. Anything in the double digits, I think, while not impossible, is a little bit not probable at this point in time. Steve, how about the wind? North winds will we'll kind of get a turn to the north today, starting to ramp up. North winds will be strong, about 15 to 25, gust to 35 on Friday. We'll say 10 to 20, gust to 30 on Saturday. So we are going to have north winds that'll crank for a couple of days here. Donna, the answer to your question, how much accumulation Friday and Saturday? Right here in front of you. There you go. I agree with this comment. If you don't have to be on the roads, don't be out there. You may think you know how to drive on snow. I guarantee you don't know how to drive on ice. Unless you professionally drive a Zamboni, you don't have practice doing that. So if we have any icing conditions, which is possible, not a good idea to be out on the roads. Cameron's asking, when will the snow start? Well, two different systems, right? So we kind of broke down the timeline already, but we could see a changeover from rain to snow for many of us this evening as that cold front moves in. That's system number one. Number two will be Friday, and it's going to be spreading from south to north. So folks in Carolina, south side, maybe more midday Friday. As you go up towards our peninsulas, eastern shore, it's going to be more afternoon, evening. And then by Friday night, everybody's seeing snow, pretty much everybody, with the exception of some rain on the Outer Banks. If the low moves closer to the shoreline, would that bump up our totals or would it bring in ice or mix inland? It could do both, right? So if that low hugs the coast more, that would push more moisture inland. That could also shift that rain snow line that we're seeing on the Outer Banks, could shift that inland a little bit as well. Right now, my biggest concern for like freezing rain for ice accumulation is really south of the Albemarle Sound. So we'll say maybe for Edenton, Bertie County, mainland there, and points kind of south of that, south and west of that. So kind of eastern North Carolina, south of the Albemarle, I think that's going to be the bullseye when it comes to ice accumulation. Brian, you're welcome. Happy to help. Let's see. Gary, headed to the Outer Banks on Saturday. Will everything be done by then? Right now, looks like most everything is going to move out mid-morning to midday Saturday. So 10 a.m., noon, somewhere in that window, I think we'll see the brunt of the precipitation move out. As far as traveling, I still don't think that would be a great idea because obviously you have, once the snow stops falling, it doesn't instantly disappear. So I would be extra careful even after the snow has stopped falling, still going to have some issue with accumulation on the roads and potential for icy spots and things like that. Still have some questions about how much in insert town here. So there's the big picture. Let's kind of do the zoom through again so you can find your town on the map. There's the south side. All right, there's the peninsula and the eastern shore, the middle peninsula. And let's drive down to northeastern North Carolina. All right. Now, of course, these are not set in stone, right? The forecast is always subject to change, right? And a lot of people are like, what? How is that possible? Well, think about this. You know, if you've lived here any bit of a time, that weather can change in a second, right? If the weather can change quickly, the forecast has to be able to respond, right? So these numbers are not set in stone. We're going to adjust as the forecast changes, right? So if it looks like we're getting more moisture, these totals may have to go up. If it looks like that low is moving away a little bit more, we may have to bring these numbers down a little bit. So expect some wiggle room within these numbers as we go through the next couple of days, right? So again, a lot of people see this and go, yep, this is definitely it. Give us some wiggle room, right? Weather is going to be changing. It's an active, fluid situation. You wouldn't expect the numbers to be set in stone if the situation is not set in stone. Bruce, is it possible we could end up with nothing, meaning no snow accumulation whatsoever? At this point in time, I think that's a tough sell, right? So we had an earlier question of, do we think we could get above 10 inches of snow? I would say both of those are conceivable, but at definitely the extremes of the thought process right now. So the odds of us getting absolutely nothing and the odds of us getting a foot of snow, we'll say for conversation, would be at our two extremes, right? Most likely we're going to land in the middle at this point in time. I would be shocked if we don't see any snow accumulation by Saturday morning. I would be shocked by that. It would take some pretty significant changes in the forecast. All right, I'll stick around for another minute or so. If you guys have any more questions for me, I appreciate the great ones we've had already. So let's see, we talked about today's system, small chance for accumulation. We talked about the ice or the freeze potential starting tomorrow morning. We've talked about the bigger snow potential for Friday night into Saturday. We've talked about the north winds picking up. We've talked about how lows will be in the 20s over the next several mornings in a row. So that issue of refreeze could happen through the weekend, even into early next week. Cindy asking about the New Kent area. So that's to the west of Williamsburg. For those of you who are not familiar, if you're driving from Williamsburg to Richmond on 64, you pass through the New Kent area. I right now have New Kent kind of in that 2 to 4 bubble, but I think we'll see that kind of wiggle as well. Richmond's going to be lower than that. So that's where I have New Kent for now. Katie, when is the snow supposed to start on Friday again? Let's see. Let me back up to, stick with me here. Let's go to this one again. So asking about the timing, all right? Keep in mind we have 2 different chances. The first one's going to be today, rain, changing over from this afternoon to this evening to some snow. The second chance will be the bigger chance. Here we go, Friday. This is Friday morning. A little mix possible in Carolina, rain, maybe some snow. Really afternoon, evening, night. You're going to see how things build. So this is 1 o'clock Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Notice how that snow has covered a big chunk of the south side, northeastern North Carolina. Let's jump ahead to 7 o'clock Friday evening. Notice the snow is now covering a big chunk of the peninsula, southern parts of the eastern shore, starting to creep into the middle peninsula. And then by Friday night, snow for basically everybody, with the exception of the Outer Banks, as you'll see a change over to rain there. And that'll spill into at least Saturday morning. Again, I think we'll see things move out mid-morning, midday on Saturday. Hopefully that answered the question there. We still have some questions about what about insert town here. Hopefully this will answer your question. So Cindy, Richard. Go. I'll give you one more tour of the check out my town. So hopefully you can see it there as well. There's your south side. And again, this is our thinking as of right now. Could this change over the next 24, 48 hours? Sure, right? That system shifts a little bit. We're going to have to see these numbers change a little bit as well. Peninsula Eastern Shore, there you go. Notice the trend of getting lower as you go north and west, getting higher as you go south and east. Of course, the buck to that trend will be the Outer Banks, right? Much lower numbers when you mix in some rain there. You see that bullseye kind of shaping up Moyock, Elizabeth City, Hertford, and a little bit lower as you go inland. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for updates. We're going to be on WTKR.com. We're going to be on the app. We're going to be, of course, on air. Next broadcast on air is with meteorologist Maddie Kirker today at noon.